Welcome to the Industry Angel Podcast. We hear from the best business minds across the globe. Entrepreneurs, social influencers, marketing mavens, and sales rock stars. We've got them all. Here comes your weekly dose of inspiration with your host, Ian Farah.
So it's the 8th of March and it's International Women's Day, and I'm here at the Hope Street Exchange in Sunderland with a friend of the show, Sharon MacArthur, and Louise Kennedy.
Hi.
Who have both organised a conference today for International Women's Day.
That's right, yeah.
So ladies, over to you. Where did this come from? Why did you do it? How long's it been going?
Well, myself and Sharon originally met each other by organising this, and originally it was in Newcastle, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So that was 3 years ago that we're doing at this point. So this has been our third year of celebrating it. 2 years ago, we met with Jenny and Cheryl, and it was kind of the first time that we'd been introduced to them. And it was just one of those moments where you think, actually, they'll be perfect to be involved in this. So I kind of approached Sharon and said, do you think we should get these two other people in? And she was like, yeah, let's keep going. So that's what we did. We got in touch with Jenny, who was at the Muscle Club at the time. Now, obviously, it's Software City, and then Cheryl from the university. And we asked them whether they want to be involved, and they did. And really, it's kind of taken a lot of, we got on very well together. We've all got different roles, some people are more organisers and some people just tell people what to do. I think that's me. But it fits and it works, and it's a nice group of people, isn't it?
Yeah, it's great. Yeah. I can't add to that. That was great.
Well, so today, 120...
Oh, we think about 120 people were here.
120 people here today. So, and what, you had speakers here?
Yep, we had a lineup of 8 speakers.
8?
Yeah, 8 different speakers.
Okay.
Yeah.
All ladies?
One man.
One man?
From
One
Greg's,
man.
yes.
Right, okay.
And actually it was Greg's who initiated this year to kind of start taking place. They contacted the BIC in Sunderland, it was about September time, wasn't it? Yeah. And said to us, we're going to be doing it again this year. And we said, well, actually we will do. Yeah. So that was what kind of gave us the push. So that's hence the reason Greg's have come back and spoke for us to update us on what they're doing, but also that they've sponsored the event as well as far as the food side of things goes.
I did notice lots of sausage rolls downstairs.
There's lots of sausage rolls and donuts.
So we've got 7 ladies, 1 brave man. Yeah. What was the message today? Yes, Pat, come on, Sharon, let's hear from you.
I'm here.
What were some of the speakers? Where did they come from? What was their message to the people that were here today?
Well, if you look at the whole of International Women's Day, the strapline for this year, because it changes every year, was Press for Progress. We go off-piste, and we have done for the last couple of years. So we had a strapline for us, which was, I'm a woman, what's your superpower?
Okay.
So to really make it as generic as possible, last year, again, we didn't follow the same message. And I think the thing that makes ours unique, because I've been to quite a few of these types of events, is we want to take ordinary women, and that was our strapline for last year, with extraordinary stories. So actually, you will have heard, or the audience will have heard, a lot of the women who stood up today would said, I was asked to speak today, and I don't know why. Because nobody can recognise the unique and brilliant story that each and every one of us have, whether you're a man or a woman. Mm-hmm. So we want to have where women would say, I'm an ordinary kind of person, rather than a celebrity, and tell their story, because we want people to relate to it in the audience.
Yeah.
It's very much about realising that anything's possible if somebody wants to do something, and one of my big things is that some people might want to do something just to be able to give them a bit of a lifestyle business. They might just want to work 2 days a week.
It's a really good point. Do we always need to scale up and go crazy?
You don't always need to, and it could be a case that you just want to have flexibility around your kids and work 9:30 till 2:30, and you make your business fit what it is that you want it to be. The other option is that you might want to grow it. I mean, I said when I spoke that I was at an event at the university, and I was one of the people that was speaking to the students who were setting up businesses. There was a guy in front of me who had 10 million turnover, and the next woman had 4 million turnover, and I was thinking, oh, that's not me. But actually, as I'm sitting thinking, I'm thinking, yeah, but I'm doing all right, so it's kind of, you have your own business and it's your success, and you know the way to grow it, and you have to have the right mindset with it as well, isn't it? Yeah. So these women have got that. That's what we wanted to tell them.
But I think the other thing that kind of makes us a little bit different is we don't just have everybody who's a business owner. We have women who actually are employed themselves in businesses, because again, not everybody wants to own their own business. Not everyone's going to have that ambition. So I think it's a bit remiss and wrong to think that everybody who should speak at events are business owners, because again, that's not what the whole of the world wants to do. We can't all be business owners. Somebody's got to be employed by somebody. So it's good to have that mix.
I totally agree. I mean, this show has very diverse people, and that's always been my passion, is to listen to people like you, because you mentioned relate there, and it's so right. I mean, I've been in the audience lots of times, heard from people who've done £40 million business. That's never going to be me, and probably there are lots of people in the room are never going to hit the $1 million mark.
No,
you know, and so we're all kind of all put our. Well, exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's not always about that financial aspect of it. It can be others. Like I said, there can be other. You know, you want a work-life balance. You want to go on holiday. You want to make the most out of your life, isn't it?
Well, mine's to work 30 days a year. That's it. And be happy. I know, bless me.
That's quite achieving.
I know I haven't done it yet, but that's my ambition. At least I've got one. Yeah.
So didn't you say superpowers? So did every speaker have a superpower?
Everybody referenced, again, people talked about values, people talked about maybe what they'd learned. So again, we've kept the same format, as in we ask people the same questions, but the variety that you get from the brief that we give them, it's just amazing. You would never think they all had the same
ask
brief.
Each speaker the same question?
Yes,
We give them a
give them a brief.
Okay.
But you would never know that they all had the same brief, because everything is just so unique and different to them. You know, some people want slides, some people don't. It doesn't really matter, because it's just about their story. So, you know, I mean, the feedback that we've had downstairs, it's taken so long to come and speak to you, because everybody wants to tell us how fantastic it's been.
I think,
it's a bit like a wedding, actually. I know. So everybody wants a bit of you, don't they?
I know, a little bit. But I certainly think, you know, Adriana, who spoke from the Doggy Diner, you know, her story, when I spoke to her and asked her to whether she wanted to come along and speak, she was the one that stuck in my mind, because she was like, me? And I was like, well, yeah, and she said, but I haven't done anything. I was like, but you should work corporate, and you should had a brain hemorrhage, and she had to stop working. 42-year-old, and her sister had a brain hemorrhage at 42-year-old, and you know, she was divorced, and you know, she had a child and needed to, you know, then she had to stop working altogether, and you know, but she was financially secure, and it was it's such a nice story, and it's, you know, she has the scale up operation of what she wants with her Doggy Diner and how to franchise it out. But actually, that for me is lovely, because someone's really turned the life around. You know, they've gone out in the world and they've worked corporate and they've had a very good job, but she's had something that stopped her in her tracks, and she's had to make a change, and she's obviously had the support around to be able to do it.
But what's fascinating about that is you've got that lady there saying, what are you asking me for? Yeah. And we're all standing going, you had a stroke, a brain hemorrhage at 42, you had to leave everything that you'd ever known for the last 25, 30 years, you're a single mother, and you've set up this business, and you're going to franchise it.
And she knew her sister was severely disabled from the brain hemorrhage that she had.
Yeah.
So she's looking at her sister knowing that
It could have happened to her, yeah.
So there's quite a lot. You know, her sister was a fantastic pianist, and obviously she can't do any of that anymore. So she knows, Adriana knows that she's been fortunate,
yes,
you know, in the recovery of what she's done. So, you know, when you come across those stories, and I mean, obviously, well, a couple of them weren't they? You know, they've you know, another lady had been abused from being a child, and you know, she's turned, she told about that, and another lady has got terminal cancer, and she's doing research for the university.
Being told that she shouldn't be here.
She should have died last July, and she came and spoke for us today. So when you're looking at, you know, just even touching the surface of ladies like that, you know, and you know, some people, you know, as they say, they're just, the elf on the shelf lady was absolutely fantastic, just in the fact that she says, I just feel like I'm just winging it, you know, as in I've made it up, and then that's exactly it. And that was what Naomi said, wasn't it? She, from Sunderland City, she said, you know, we're just winging it sometimes, you know, we're put in these situations, but you know, I think for us it's very much there's fantastic women out there in the Northeast doing something that makes a difference to them and to other people.
You know, it's really interesting you said winging it there. It's what you call it now is being agile and pivoting. Right. Do you know what I mean?
We're still winging it. We're still winging it.
Yeah, we're old school. We're just making it up.
Yeah.
So who else then? Who else come along? So I mean, I love these stories.
Yeah. So we had, well, the elf on the shelf lady has now got a distribution throughout the world.
Really?
So, and she started the business 3 years ago, and she sold her other business because she had a marketing business.
Right.
So she sold it, and then she's now literally distributing across the world. But then B&M copyrighted her. You know, took all the.
I did see this in the press somewhere. Did
so,
the box and everything.
Everything, yeah. And I think she did try to do some crowdfunding. She didn't mention that today, but she did some work, and obviously is taking it legally, and she's just got a letter through in the last few days to be able to say B&M will take it off the shelves.
Right.
But actually what that proves is that the little people, she's David and Goliath type
yeah,
story.
yeah.
You know, that actually, if you stand up to them, it does make a difference. And actually, she's taken that as being, she's done something good for the small businesses.
Excellent.
So she was great. And then we've obviously we've had Kevin from Greg's, which was mentioned. And Kevin spoke for us last year, didn't he? And we knew that he had a bit of a story behind him as well. So this time it was supposed to be somebody else came to speak, but actually Kevin ended up coming as well instead. But actually he has got a good personal story as well, and I think he's obviously had a bit of an upbringing where it's been very difficult and been starved really as a child. And then
what's
obviously
Kevin's role now?
He's learning development in Greg's,
Right,
but quite high up. But his role is primarily about getting women to improve in the workplace, bring them from not just being managers, but what progresses them further. Yeah, so he's talked about his values and talked about Master Bob, someone who's made a massive impact in his life, and how he went off and studied martial arts, and he's married to an African lady.
Half our listeners are in the States and they'll be thinking, who's Greg's? What's Greg's all about?
Greg's sausage rolls.
Greg's the Bakers.
Greg's the Bakers.
So my question to you guys, are you ladies? I can't call you guys now. It's International Women's Day.
Yeah.
What am I doing?
I don't know what you're doing.
I don't know. So my question to you
You're bad.
ladies, my bad. So my question to you is, this is the third year. What's changed? Like, obviously things get better and more polished every year you do it, I would hope. What, have you seen a difference?
Do you know what it is? I think we're just pretty awesome at doing this.
Yeah, I'm
very
not going to
modest.
pick myself up. It says International Women's Day.
No, actually, well, I think it's grown, isn't it? And it's, every year becomes a little bit easier organising it. But,
Okay.
Ultimately, there's 4 of us that do this. Obviously, 2 people are employed and myself and Sharon aren't. So when we're taking the time to do this, which will really start September, October time, it's our time. It's me not working in my business. It's, it's maybe putting, 40, 50 hours into doing something that actually I could be earning money, somewhere
that's a good
else,
point.
and it's, it's chasing up things like car park passes and, people turning up and what time are they going to arrive and, getting the speakers in the first place. So it's a big, big task for us, and it's time that we're not getting paid. So it's something that we want to do and we feel passionate about. So it is becoming slicker because we know what we're doing a little bit more.
Somebody asked me before, said, I would have paid for this because it's been a free event.
We spoke about that, maybe. So what's your why then? So obviously we've just said there that, entrepreneurs who you're not going to get paid for this, you've given your time up, why are you doing it, what do you want to achieve out of this?
Well, I'm a passionate Geordie, which means I'm from the northeast for your American listeners, and I'm really passionate about helping women to help themselves. So it's giving women a voice in the northeast. We're often kind of quite forgotten up here in northern England. Certainly, the northern powerhouse doesn't even cover Newcastle and Sunderland. So I think it's just the opportunity where we get this special feedback where women say, you've asked me, why have you asked me? Like I say, a lot of events that you'll see, they'll be much more polished. They'll have speakers who, like you were saying earlier, Louise, have generated, £50 million worth of revenue. Yeah. And this is really giving a voice to everybody or anybody.
And we didn't want speakers that do that.
No, we didn't.
Not particularly, because that's not what this is about.
Like I say, it's about relatability.
So do you think International Women's Day has changed over these last few years? I mean, I'll give you a quick example. So I was in Southeast Asia last month and I hadn't been there for 4 or 5 years. I've seen a massive difference in women in business. I was at a business exhibition in India and there was women in the audience, which you've never seen before. So I've seen the difference culturally and more competitive. Have you seen that as well in the last... Are we gaining anything? Are we getting any ground out of this?
I think there's some of the big companies are doing more. They've got more of awareness, and I think it depends on how much you let it affect you, really. I mean, obviously, me coming from male-orientated workplaces, I didn't really realise that there was any... that women needed to be empowered, because I think being a confident person myself already, I didn't really feel that there was a need for that particularly. And I think for me, I very much think it was kind of stepping out into kind of that world of working for yourself, that actually, then you start realising that it is tough. But in saying that, I don't feel like I've been disadvantaged in any way, Probably if I'd stayed in the company that I was working in, I probably wouldn't have gone any higher because there wasn't the opportunities here in the northeast for that. And I don't personally feel like I've been disadvantaged.
No, I have
been a woman. Being a woman.
I haven't been disadvantaged, but I haven't really. My whole business, Red Handbag, set up to be a leadership confidence coach for women. And I haven't really seen any changes, because I think when you live in your own bubble of, like Louise, I have to be resilient and confident to be able to do the job that I do. But it still surprises me how many women get in their own way.
And just thinking about that, obviously I've just moved into an office space, and actually it's great to have someone that that I know beside me, Natasha. And you know, sometimes when you're having that bit of a blip day where she comes in, I'm like, oh gosh, I'll never guess what, you know. And she's like, and it's great to have that, because actually it can bring you back up quicker than you're doing it on your own. Because if you think, very often business owners, you know, if the small businesses are on their own, and they're on their own a lot,
Can be a lonely journey.
and it's who do you talk to we've worked together quite a bit on thinking, right, who do you talk to kind of think about growing your business, and how do you do it, you know. So
I think, to put a bit of a twist on the question though, what I've noticed in my business differently is I've been working with a lot more men.
Right, okay.
So I think men have always felt like a lot of women, but they hide it culturally. So, you know, you've got to be roughy, toughy, and,
you know,
macho, because
a really good point.
The biggest killer to men's health up the age of 45 is mental health, and often suicide. So I think what I've seen is more men being able to be brave and honest about stepping up, because I've been working recently with more men than I have women. So that's been an interesting
I'm really glad you mentioned that. So my project this year is to do something like that, take people out of business, do a bit of mindset stuff, a bit of meditation, maybe get a bit more mindfulness. So is there an International Man's Day?
Yes,
Yeah,
in November.
Really? Right, there
Could
you
be.
go.
It could be organised.
Yeah, you can organise.
We can tell you how to do it if you want.
Yeah.
Just back that across.
We can pay for the service. We'll
Yeah,
mentor.
yeah.
So just finally then, International Women's Day, but you've actually acted locally. You've put this on. You've left a great message with 120 ladies there. So well done. Next year?
Yeah.
We're up for it.
No, we are up for it. And I think, do you know what it is? We don't mind doing it as long as the people that come along get something from it, you know, and that you continue to get the audience coming along.
That it makes a positive difference. That's
to
my
somebody.
motivator.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot for someone to take, you know, maybe it's hard, just over half a day out of the business to be able to come along and spend the time. But actually these things make a difference.
Yeah. So I've heard lots of ladies out there thanking you for it today. So I'm going to do it as well. So thank you very much for putting this on locally, because it's been great, and it's been amazing to see all the press coverage and the LinkedIn posts and everything. It's been great exposure. So well done, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you very much, Ian.